What's up, Mark? Welcome to the Dad Edge, my friend.
Larry Hagner, good to be here with you, brother.
So your platform, be the husband she brags about. Should most guys like just have like an Irish accent? Would that help us? Would that help? Would she brag about us more? Be like, oh, all my husband has to do is talk, and that's it.
If it was that easy, Larry, I would have been nailing this like 15 years ago, and I wouldn't have had like the first 12 years of pain and misery that went with it. So no, unfortunately, an Irish accent is not like a qualifying characteristic to her bragging about you.
I don't know, man. For my wife, I think that's kind of a qualifier. Like she's always like my wife doesn't get all like up in arms about like movie stars like, oh, he's so this, he's so that, or whatever. But dude, like when Gerard Butler speaks, and I know he's from Scotland, not Ireland, but like she's just like, oh, it's the accent. It's just the accent. He could say anything. So yeah,
Well,
I didn't know if that was a prerequisite or not.
no, well, actually, interestingly enough, is like unfortunately, Matilda's favorite accent is the Scottish accent.
There you
And
go.
it's like any actor is like fuck Jared Butler is like what is it with the Scotsman? So anything from Jared Butler up to Sean Connery, she's like she goes weak at the knees. So no, I was born in the wrong country by maybe a couple of 100 kilometers.
So wait, you do live in Ireland, right?
Yeah, I'm living in Ireland,
Okay.
just across the water from Scotland.
Got it. Okay. This is a really dumb question, but what are some of the main differences between the Scottish accent and the Irish accent?
Oh,
Like if you could maybe
oh.
give me like a sentence like that, like this is what, Ireland sounds like, this is what Scotland sounds like.
You're putting me under pressure here because I can normally do a really good spontaneous Scottish accent.
Okay.
If you
Yes.
really go into the Scottish Highlands, they're going to be talking like that, laddie. That's maybe
Okay.
some
Yeah.
Scottish guys listening in will be like, Mark, you're after butchering the Scottish accent. That's a Scottish accent, and well, I suppose I can't really take off the Irish accent. This is the Irish
It's just
accent,
there.
or
Yeah.
it's one of many versions of the Irish accent. There's a lot of different accents if you
Yeah.
go around here.
So one of my really good friends, he's also one of our coaches in the mastermind. His name's Fraser Bailey. Fraser's from New Zealand. And so like he and I were good friends, and then we also swap like audio messages every day, just to check in with each other and that kind of thing, hold each other accountable, certain things. And so he lives here in the States, but he grew up in New Zealand. So he's always like, Larry, man, I will tell you, man, like just make sure, you know what I'm saying? Just make sure your diet, man, is on point, brother. Because if it's not, the rest of the day, man, just goes freaking terrible. Now I just did a horrible one, right? And he reminds me that I'm horrible at it all the time. He's like, dude, that is not good at all. You sound like you're from South Africa, not from New Zealand. It's terrible. Just give it up. So it's kind of funny. But anyway, you didn't come on here to talk about, cool accents and that kind of thing. You came on to talk about, being the husband that our wives brag about. But you didn't, this was not always so for you. So you mentioned, 12 years of absolute pain. So what's your story with the pain?
Mm, yeah, thanks for asking, Larry. There was a lot of pain, like a lot of love initially. Myself, Matilda got married. 6 months after meeting each other, we did the pilgrimage to Santiago across the north of Spain. 35 days of walking together, and we did it our style, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. And even from back then, I started that pilgrimage started bringing up stuff like all was not well within the system, like emotionally and psychologically. That's what a pilgrimage is about. But it was actually a very good metaphor, I think, for life and definitely for marriage together. The longer in, the more it sort of released and revealed for me a lot of undealt with crap. I can look back with a lot of clarity. I didn't realize how far in the shit I was speaking in marriage. To be honest, for most of the 12 years, Larry, I was like a classic nice guy. Still am. I'm like Robert Glover says, it's like I'm a recovering nice guy. But for the vast majority of 12 years, when I look back, I was I was the nice guy, and my beautiful queen, she was, and I'll just be brutally direct, like she was the fucked up one in my mind. When we came together, I hid behind this thing like I'm the hero, I'm the knight in shining armor. Like my parents were always together. her family was, it was in total disarray. There was divorce. She had been sexually abused, etc., etc. So I really camped out in this, um, ultimately a very arrogant role of I'm the one with my shit together, and you've, you know, you're doing well to be with me. I could go and get another woman, but look at you, you're a mess. I'm getting really brutally to the core of it. There was a lot of epic shit and beautiful stuff along the way, but that's how I was really relating from a base level. So of course, that's not a very positive way to come from. You know, when that's your shadow, when that was that background judgment that was always there, and the longer we went in, the less and less safe Matilda felt. Um, the 12 years in, what ended up happening was, Larry, I invited a guy. It was a guy I had, you know, connected in online. He was traveling around Europe. He put it out on social media. He was like, "Hey guys, I'm traveling around. You know, in exchange for bed and board, I'll do some work. You know, I'm in Europe for 3 or 4 weeks." So I thought, cool. We've got 8 horses. We've got a lot of animals. It's like, let's do this. It'll take some work off us. I cut a long story short, Larry, invited him in, and he ended up being what I perceived at that time, being like the man I found it was impossible for me to ever be. It's like he was emotionally sensitive. He was in tune with his body. Like, if you want to say the feminine aspects, he was like a duck to water to it. And I was, I look back, I was really threatened by this. But my beautiful queen, that's like she was living in a desert for all of her feminine needs. Like all of her arguments for those first 12 years of marriage, she was calling a Mark, you need to be just more emotionally in tune. You need to be more mature. You need to tune into what I'm saying. I don't feel heard. I don't feel seen by you. It was ultimately, she was looking for, like, Mark, just, I want deep intimacy with you. Larry, I had no fucking idea what that meant. I was like trying my absolute damnedest best. But this guy came in. I got really sick for 2 weeks at a flare up of asthma and that. So I was like a bystander looking on at this unfolding. The two of them became exceptionally close. So I was like energy wiped looking on, and it was looking on, and my wife, like, it's like my wife, I was losing my wife to this guy. She was falling in love energetically. Like the connection between them was immense. So it just got to the point where I just, one rainy evening, I looked outside. Um, they had come back from jujitsu training. It was like a classic.
Your Wait, your wife and this guy came back from jujitsu training?
Yeah, I was sick. I was staying at home, and they went off. And if if that was me now, of course, I just wouldn't have fucking let that happen. But none of this would have happened. But they went off to training, and it was like they came back, and I remember it's like the lowest point of those first 12 years was they parked outside the front door. I was marching around the kitchen, sort of thinking all really dark, shitty thoughts of, man, my marriage is fucked. Like, she's gone. I'm a loser. I'm hopeless. I'm gone beyond. And Larry, I looked outside the back door, and you know, in the dark, you just see the silhouette looking in the rear mirror, or the rear window, seeing both the silhouettes. It hurts me even just to speak about this now, but there is a deep desire in me, Larry, to see both of them kissing. Because that for me was like, I can't, there was some part of me, Larry, that was like, I can't ever be the man she wants. So if she just fucking found another guy, I'm not going to fucking welcome him in. I'm not going to show her the door. But it's like, if she just finds him, there was some part of me going, like, good, I'd be happy for it, because it's impossible. I'm just totally inadequate emotionally. I'm a broken man.
So
Now,
wait, were they kissing?
they weren't, thankfully.
Okay.
But there was a part in me, Larry, and like, to the guys listening in, there was a part of me like giving up the show. It's like throwing in the towel. There was a part of me that was just like feeling so shameful about my emotional brokenness, that I was like, man, she deserves so much better than me. Now, as it was, they weren't kissing. As it was, they came in. We went off to bed. I was very quiet. The very next morning, Larry, I woke up and it was that sort of first morning. I don't know if you've had a chest infection or a flu, but there's that first morning when you like, you just know your energy is back. Larry, I walked down the stairs straight into the kitchen. For the first time in 12 years, I've never owned my need as directly. Like in the first 12 years, I never expressed my needs. So I looked into my wife's eyes. I was like, hey, honey, good morning. It's like, I need to go for a walk with you. I need to talk with you. Never before had I been that direct. And some point she was like, hey, do you want to have breakfast? Like, no, I can't have breakfast. I need to talk with you. And ultimately, Larry, that became the first king and queen walk. We have these king and queen walks every single day, rarely without fail, where we speak exclusively for 10 minutes minimum, exactly what's going on or not going on in our marriage. But that first walk was like, that was a 2.5, 3 hour walk. And I just got speaking about, hey, I'm gone beyond shaming myself. It's like, I'm not going to blame you. It's like, hey, baby, I'm seeing what's going on. I'm feeling what's going on. It's on one level, it's fucking devastating to me as a man, but I'm here. I'm stepping into kingship. I don't want to blame you because I know this guy, he's offering you something that you've been needing and wanting from me, but I haven't known how. All I know is I'm looking into your eyes today. It's like, I'm here for the fight. I'm here. I'm willing to do whatever is fucking necessary. It's like, I remember, Larry, I was scared. There was some part of me sort of scared shitless because I had no certainty. I had literally zero idea what that looked like. I had zero idea if I'd ever be able. I didn't know then this is a skill set you can learn, but I had a willingness and I had the humility to just go, hey, I'm not going to blame you. I'm not going to like hide behind like, oh, you're slutting around with this guy. It's like, no, you're meeting your needs. I get it. Are you on for like salvaging this marriage? And she was. It took a couple of days, but she was. So that's sort of just a build up of the context of no, but by no means was I always on this path.
Wow. So thanks for that story. I actually didn't know that part of it with the other guy in there, but yeah, that's enough to rattle your cage quite a bit. This surrender that you had of like, where I would call it, your defining moment of, and we see a lot of guys do this in our mastermind, right? And I would say the guys who join us in the mastermind are the ones who woke up like you did that morning and are just like, no more. This
Mm.
is going to be different, right? I am going to do something different because, and not to say that men are like broken beyond repair or like you have to have issues like to do a mastermind or something like that. But I think we all reach a point, whether it's in our finances, it's in our health, it's in our relationships or whatever, where you're like, no more. I'm done. I'm done living this life. I think most commonly we see this with people on social media who have a health transformation, right? A
Mm.
physical health transformation. And you get to the heart of that story of, well, what was the defining moment that, and there was always a huge, like, there's always like some sort of really big defining moment where maybe they saw a photo and at first they didn't recognize who they were, right? Or they went to go get fitted for a tuxedo or something like that because they're in a friend's wedding and they had no clue like how their body had gotten so out of control, right? Or, but yours, I think a lot of us do this in our marriages, but here's where I think it's devastating, right? I think most men, Mark, if I'm being really honest, they most men just don't take that action. What they'll do is they'll wait for action to be taken that's outside of their control. And usually it looks like this. And we see this all the time. And every single time I see it, dude, it truly, truly breaks my heart because we'll see it posted. We have two different groups on Facebook. One is our Big Dad Edge group on Facebook, which we have, I think, 20,000 men who are part of that group. And it's our free group. And it's, guys just post in the group, right? They post questions,
Mm.
concerns, and all that, where it's highly interactive. And then we also have our paid group, which is our mastermind. Luckily, we don't see this post in there hardly ever. And I think it's like a lot of it because the guys are doing the work. But here's what the post reads: guys, My wife just came up to me today and told me that she wants a separation. Guys, my wife
Mm.
just told me that she wants a divorce. My wife just told me she doesn't know if she loves me anymore and hasn't for quite some time. Now, I don't have the studies to back up what data I'm about ready to share. All I can tell you is it came from one of the podcast guests. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Dr. John Delaney. I think it was him, but I'm not for sure. But it's if your wife has said the words, I don't think I want to be with you anymore. I don't think I love you anymore, or I want a separation. Studies have shown that she has been thinking about it for 2 years before she said it out loud to you.
Wow.
Yeah. And that one, when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, are you serious? He's like, yeah. And then, studies have shown that it's literally been on their mental radar for at least 2 years and sometimes more. And then finally something happened and they were just like, yeah, no more. I'm done. He's like, and unfortunately, if they would have voiced that concern when they first started feeling it, usually the woman is more open to change. But by the time she actually says it out loud, she's been gelling on it for 2 years. This is why we see what we see with marriages, that when a woman says that out loud, very rarely can you do much to fix it, because
Mm.
she's already had about 2 years of making up her mind that this is the way it's going to roll, right?
Mm.
So, and this is where we see guys have an epiphany like yours of like, okay, I need to change. Well, at that point, it's like, man, I don't know if this is going to work. Like we can definitely learn some skills. We can definitely put some things in place, and your odds will be better, but the chances of you rebuilding this are not nearly as high as if we were proactive about it. Now, your approach
Yeah.
was, I wouldn't call it necessarily proactive, but it was proactive because you just had this, you're like, yeah, no more. I'm not doing this. And I'm just going to
Mm.
live very, very differently. Was that I want to get back to that moment here.
Mm-hmm.
What was going through your mind? Like, all right, no more. And I'm going to go say this out loud. Were you nervous? Were you fearful? Did you know exactly what you were going to say? Like, what was going on for you?
Mm. It's a great question. There was some fear,
Yeah.
throughout in different pockets when I just went with it. Ultimately, I had no certainty. I had no game plan. Like when I walked down the stairs, it was like, I need to talk with you. And there was a part of me, there was this energy going. I remember my first thought that morning. This is actually really telling for me. My first thought, Larry, was waking up, just the fullness of the last couple of weeks, what I'd seen the night before, realizing just that was my desire, that she'd be kissing him. So it just finally, it would have ended without me having to do the bad shit. My first thought was, Mark, you've got to step into kingship here. Now, I've done a lot of deep men's work and I love archetypal work, king, warrior, magician, lover. That's like, it's an everyday, use of language for me. That was totally atypical. There was just some part of my psyche that was like, you need to show up in your king. And there wasn't a lot of fear, albeit there were like parts of fear during the day that came up as I went deeper. There just was a non-negotiable desire to be courageous, to say whatever needed to be said. I was scared shitless for 12 years of ever upsetting Matilda, of ever saying something that she'd be upset. Classic nice guy stuff, like my mom reared me predominantly, did a great job. My dad was, the classic sort of away at work, great, good guy, but predominantly, the rearing with the feminine energy. You learn the rules of the feminine, like the rough and tough, direct, anger, expression of anger, and all of that is like it's sort of shaped and molded out of you, and then into school, like predominantly with female teachers and that. So I was holding back my truth for those 12 years. What was different, I think, to get it to the crystallized core of it that transformed everything was this trust, Larry, where if it comes up in my mind, I need to express it. That was enough. It's like there was no filter in my mind going, oh, how's she going to react? Oh, she normally gets pissed off with this. There was no part of my nervous system like incessantly looking in her face for signs of rejection. Is she pissed off? Is she overwhelmed? Is she going to get upset with this? It was like that was gone. It was like, hey, I just need to say this. Hey, you know, I've seen exactly what's going on the last the last 14 days. It's like, hey, things are totally like it's our marriage is in the absolute pits. I see that. I was trigger happy in saying whatever was necessary to be said. And that has been my practice ever since. Like, and I think it's a key thing. There's a skill set I've learned in the last number of years that goes along with being able to do that in a tactful, conscious way that both people are safe. But to guys listening in, that's like one key characteristic I would say with in my own life, in guys that I coach and in men's groups. That's the one characteristic that's I'd say above all others. It's essential to practice the skill set and just go with that. If it needs saying, even if it's shadowy stuff, even if there's judgments, find ways to express, because otherwise, stuff that isn't expressed, when your truth is not expressed, you start building up a tank of frustration. Anger, the emotion of anger, that's such an edgy thing. And that day, that was one thing that was gone, or well, not that was gone. The edginess around it was gone, but that was another key thing, Larry. There was some part of me that just started saying, "It's like, hey, Amore, I'm actually feeling angry. There's an anger in me that this guy is doing what he's doing in our house. There's an anger in me that you're doing and you're flirting with him and that. It's like, hey, that's not on. It's like I don't mind. I'm not going to blame you, but I just know that there's an anger in me. Whereas what I was doing before, and I know this is like speaking with hundreds of guys cross culturally, most guys, we end up, we feel the anger, but we have been conditioned to believe that, well, anger is wrong. Our moms told us, don't be angry. Guys listening, is like, how often did you ever hear your mother saying, don't you get angry, Mark Usher, don't you get angry, Larry Hagner, like a lot of this, and teachers along with it. So we learned that anger is wrong, but anger is essential. This is like me getting comfortable with feeling anger and expressing whatever thought is in my mind in that moment directly with immediate effect with my woman has been another foundation to turning my marriage around and actually my whole life around, because anger is not against. Anger, we feel anger. Technically, anger is the emotion of boundary setting. And when you feel anger, it's not against the person in front of you. It's actually for you. You feel anger. It's merely a trigger in your nervous system. It's your nervous system's way of saying, hey, Mark, or hey, Larry, you're feeling anger. This means that there's an unmet or an unexpressed need of yours that's been potentially trounced over, or maybe just not considered. So when you speak that, but what classically happens is we feel anger is wrong. That thought isn't spoken into the space, or it's spoken in tepidly, and our women just like, the feminine emotionality will normally win in a battle, so
Yeah.
we end up going, oh, fuck it, for the sake of peace, like this conversation is going on 20 minutes, or it's fucking like it's going on an hour, or it's on the pillow, going off to sleep at night. No, fuck this, for the sake of peace, for the sake of getting off to work, or getting off to sleep, we put it into frustration. Frustration is anger unexpressed, but frustration builds. And classically, this was happening to me, Larry, every 2-3 weeks, maybe every 2-3 months, where that level, that tank of frustration, then some mundane, bullshitty little thing that Matilda said, didn't say, didn't do, whatever, and all of this aggression would just spill out of me. Then I'd fuck her out of it. I'd call her names. It'd be like, what the fuck are you, like giving me shit for this. And then I start naming all the past crimes she did against me. And that was the only time my truth was coming true, when I was super aggressive. And it's like, but sure, of course, she could never receive my truth because I was so aggressive with it. So coming back, I think it is another key thing, without fail, like without any exception, for myself, but every single guy I've worked with, part of the transformation is learning to relate with anger being a beautiful emotion. Actually, it's an emotion that liberates your fully authentic self. And when you start speaking from there and making that a safe experience for your woman, you're good. She actually, no woman, every woman loves you, loves your authentic self, your highest potential. They want to hear your truth, but they want to hear it in an impeccably safe manner.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, it goes. You just actually mentioned the three basic needs of our wives in that in this entire first 25 minutes. I've heard all three words: to feel seen, to feel heard, and to feel safe. Um, you know, every single time I've been married now for 20 years, every single time that I have tried to hold back anger, frustration, anything that is upsetting me in my mind, and I think this speaks for most men, I don't want to say it out loud for several different reasons. Those reasons and this is the story I tell myself. And by the way, this is the lie I tell myself. It's not even just the story, it's the lie. It took me forever, Mark, to understand this, but here's what it is. And you're right about our authenticity, our true selves for our wives. So if I'm upset at something, then, or I'm frustrated or I'm angry, whatever it is, there's a lot of shame in that for me because I immediately start, and I know it's one of the things that we're going to be talking about, which is entitlement versus alignment, which is I feel a lot of shame with the fact that I feel anger to begin with. I shouldn't feel that way. Isn't that weak? Like if I'm angry about that, isn't that weakness? And then I start going inward, start talking poorly about myself. And then the story I tell myself, the lie I tell myself is, well, Jessica doesn't want to hear this. I need to be stoic. I need to be tough. I need to be this. I need to be, just, I need to be all these things that I think that she needs. And what's actually happening is me going through that and going inward. This is what it looks like. Hey, are you doing okay? Yep, I'm fine. Well, you don't really seem like you're fine. Nope, I'm good. I'm totally fine. Well, you really don't seem like it. Like it seems like there's something on your mind. You seem like you might be angry or you're frustrated. You don't have to lie to me. Like, come on, like tell me. I'm like, no, really, I'm fine. And she'll look at me like, you are so full of shit. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I'm like, I'm protecting her. I don't want her, she doesn't have to deal with this stuff. She's got all this other stuff going on. Like she doesn't want to deal with this. And by the way, in 24 hours, I'm not even gonna remember what I'm upset at anyway. So I'm just gonna deal with it. And it wasn't until my wife, we went through a pretty dark time. And I won't for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into the detail, but I'll say 2017, we went through a really dark time. And we went through a dark time because I went through a horrible bout of insomnia that lasted about 33 days. And it turns out I didn't know it at the time, but I completely fried out my adrenals and I was working out for an ultra event and completely fried out my adrenals and basically was only sleeping an hour and a half, 2 hours a night for 33 straight days. Like it literally,
Wow.
oh,
That
dude.
that's like fucking Navy SEAL Hell Week, like
Well,
multiplied by four almost. Like,
well, here's the funny thing. I was actually getting ready for in June of that year, getting ready for Mark Devine's 50-hour Kokoro challenge, which is he's a Navy SEAL commander. He takes civilians through like the Navy SEAL Hell Week. And Mark and I had gotten to be pretty close friends. And I'm like, I'm going to do that Kokoro. And I trained for it for 15 months. Well, I started training. I knew what was coming. I knew how hard it was. So I started training like an absolute freak. Like some of the workouts I was doing was like borderline self-destructive. And the day this whole thing started, I did a 3.5 hour workout where I did over 1,300 repetitions of a wad of like push-ups and burpees and pull-ups and sprints. And I did all with like a 20-pound weighted vest. And it
whoa,
was that night,
fuck.
dude. It was that night. I went into the bathroom that night. We had friends over and went to the bathroom, washing my hands. I look in the mirror and I'm like, I didn't even recognize myself. Like my eyes were so red. So I had bags under my eyes like I'd never seen. And I was like, and I didn't feel right. I was like, what in God's name is wrong with me? And that night I didn't sleep and then it perpetuated into 33 days. So long story short, um, 33 days, hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep a night, lost 25 pounds, ended up in the ER twice, my primary care physician's office 3 times, finally ended up in the hospital. Like they actually thought like at one point, they're like, dude, you're gonna die. Like you're gonna either have a heart attack or a
Mm.
stroke or a life altering event. And so anyway, I recovered from that, but I developed PTSD and I had major anxiety about going to sleep, which caused me a lot of stress. So I literally had all this anxiety. And I knew for her to see me go through that, it was insanely hard for her too. I mean, she went through this with me. And I basically had so much stress and so much anxiety, and I was dealing with PTSD. I was going through counseling. I was like, oh my God, what if this happens again? Like I was paranoid. I was like, what if this happens again tonight? What if this happens again? What if it happens again? And I kept it all in because I didn't want to freak her out, like how stressed out I was about it. And I'll never forget, man, my wife, like, oh, dude, this is so hard to talk about. But this is where our anger and like this whole story and this whole lie we tell ourselves, she can't handle it. I shouldn't tell her this stuff. I shouldn't let her in. She shouldn't see this most authentic part of me that's crumbling. Sorry. Cause I'll never forget this. We were sitting on the edge of our bed and I was sitting on our bed and we had just went through a conversation where it was just exactly like that. And she's like, why are you so quiet? Like, why aren't we close? Like, you're always like angry or frustrated or just quiet and distant. Like, I don't understand. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm protecting you. And I told my wife, I was like, because I'm going through a lot right now, like with this whole PTSD thing, and I'm freaked out every day that something's gonna happen, like this whole thing is gonna start over again. Because that was the hardest thing I've ever been through. And I was like, and I don't want to lose you. And dude, I will never forget. My wife in 26 years, man, has never said this to me, but she did this day. She goes, yeah, well, you are. And I'm like, what? She goes, Larry, you're losing me. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? And she goes, you're losing me. She goes, you're not the same guy that I married. You're angry a lot. You're frustrated a lot. And every time I ask you, you are not letting me in. You are not allowing me to help you. You're not allowing me to even know what it is you're feeling. I had no idea you're going through this. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Are you leaving? She goes, I'm not leaving, but I'm starting to wonder what life would be like without you. And thank God she told me that, man, because like I didn't want
Mm.
to end up in that 2 years where, suddenly she
Yeah.
comes to me and I'm like, I had no idea it had gotten to that point. And she's like, Larry, what is going, you have to let me in on this because if you don't, it is going to destroy our relationship. And that was the very thing, Mark, I was trying to avoid. Right. I was like, if
Yeah.
I let her in on this, it's going to destroy it. Well, the fact that I wasn't letting her in on it, and dude, it was in that moment, I just like let her have it. I was like, here's what I'm
Mm.
dealing with. Here's everything. And dude, all I felt like such a freaking puss, even saying some of this crap out loud. Like I'm scared to go to sleep.
Mm.
When the sun starts, like I was saying stuff like, dude, when the sun goes down, I start to have so much anxiety. The fact that what if this happens again? And I can't shake it. Like I cannot shake it. And I just let her in on everything I was feeling. And dude, she looked at me and she goes, that's the man I married.
Oh man.
And dude, like, sorry for kind of getting emotional, but it's bringing me back to that place, man. Um, and since then, my wife hasn't said that to me since. But dude, it was such a lie, man, that I was telling myself that this anger, this frustration, this anxiety, the last thing she needs to hear about is this. But I was still taking it out on her, but she just didn't understand it. And that was such a hard lesson, man. Like to go through
Mm.
that. Yeah.
Larry, like, first of all, like, thanks for sharing that with me. And obviously, with the guys listening in, it's such a beautiful and sacred story. I totally get that. I could just like riff off like so many experiences of the same. I've had a long-standing issue with asthma, and the last number of years, I think it was just like asthma is deeply linked with psychosomatic issues. Fear is the one emotion that's driving it. Deep fears with growing up, expressing emotion. There again, like your story, expressing emotion and just lock all that shit in. Like you can't get real. You can't show you're weak. You can't show you're unconfident. You can't show you're unclear. You can't show sadness, grief. You can't be human. So I totally get that. I locked Matilda out. Like I was purple in the fucking face. She says that now. Like we got to the point where she can maybe laugh about it. Like it's like Mark, you were purple in the face some evenings, and you were saying to me, "I'm fine." She actually had to get me. It's like Mark, you've got to get yourself off to the emergency room. Like, but that was the part of like this story. Like you said, the lie. Like, oh, she, just hold it together, Mark. Like you can't show weakness. Get your shit together. A powerful man deals with the stuff. I had got to a point of minimizing and normalizing to that level. So th- there was one there was one definition of intimacy, Larry, that just made so much sense to me because that was what Matilda was asking for all of those years. And like you with your beautiful queen, it's like fucking locking her out. I'll protect her from this, but it's like intimacy is into me you see. And there's just a part of my rational brain, that superpower we were shamed out of feeling as men, so we sharpened up the sword of our rational brain, the mechanistic brain. Part of my rational brain still remembers reading that and going, "Oh my fucking god, that's what she's looking for." And like your story demonstrates it, and it's like letting her in and just going, "Hey, Matilda, like this is what's live." It's like business hasn't been going good recently. Like those two one-on-one coaching clients, man, I really thought they were in the bag, and I sort of had spoken that like we're going on holidays, this year. I've already spoken to the girls, but fuck me, just last minute they didn't have the funds to sign up, and now I have to. It's like I'm not sleeping because I'm anxious about that. I'm anxious about. I'm feeling ashamed as a man, etc., etc. Every single time, like in your story, Larry, and I love like the emotionality, like every single time without fail, that I share what's really going on inside of me, Matilda just softens into the most beautiful, loving human being. It's like it's sensational. Um, the one thing I've learned just in what you're speaking to there, Larry, is when we do that classic old style guy, I mean, we were conditioned. Like we were bombarded by films, we were bombarded by music, we were bombarded by every single thing in modern culture. So it's like, um, there's been part of my healing process, like to take the weight off my shoulders. It's not that I was broken. I just inherited a really, really dysfunctional story. Um, but what we deny our women when we do that, and I think every guy listening in can resonate with that story. When we deny our truth, when we deny, the intimate access to, hey, I have self doubts, honey, about this thing coming up, or I'm worried, I've stresses, etc., etc. What's really going on? We give a version of like perfection, which effectively, I know with Matilda, like she was feeling in moments when it seemed supposedly I had my shit together. It's like her shame about where she didn't have her shit together was magnified 20 times over. And like she started saying that to me. She's like, Mark, yeah, there's certain moments like you seem you have all your ducks in a row. It's like, man, when you're not letting me know, it's like all the shit that I have going on, my self doubts in parenting, as a mother, as a lover, like all of this is like, I feel suffocated in your presence. It's like you're fucking not letting me know that there's any weakness. So my weakness is, Mark, I'm feeling like I'm dragging you down. And then her wounds of abandonment, the wounds of abandonment, that's like the classic female feminine wound. It's like they fear the man will leave. We fear like we won't have the full freedom to express ourselves. But that's my persona and facade of having my shit together. Um, Most times she'd sniff it out anyway, but sometimes when maybe I've got my ducks in a row, superficially, it was causing a catastrophic pressure on her system to go, man, I'm fucking up. Like he's rising tall and high. Look at me, I'm a fucking mess here today. So I just learned it's like it's a really inhumane thing coming from those loving intentions. Like I want to protect her, I want to be a strong man. I want to be trustworthy, but actually the opposite happens. unwittingly, I was like making Matilda hammer the shit out of herself with her own inner critic and her own shame. I was like, that was the last thing I wanted. So every day in our king and queen walk, we speak the unspoken. What's the unspoken in the relationship today? What's the unspoken? Like, what do we need to speak? And in that space, every single day, stuff will come up. It's like, oh man, I'm having a podcast episode with Larry later on. It's like, I've just have a bit of jitters. That's a cool opportunity. I like Larry, his work. He's a big audience. That Larry, I was speaking that there this morning with her, just being honest. Because why? Yeah, this is fucking cool. I'm on mission. But if I don't speak that to her, then what she replied to me was, "Oh, Mark, she's her mission in the world. We were on mission. That was the topic this morning. She's reaching out. She has her fiction book done and dusted. Like she's 10 years writing this beautiful book. She's crafted it. I've read it. It's amazing. She's reaching out to a book agent. It's been knowing her that this book agent that she emailed 6 days ago hasn't got back to her. Now, if I didn't share my anxiety about, oh, just I'm on the Dad Edge podcast, is like it's the best podcast I've been on yet. There's a great audience, deep respect for Larry. So yeah, there's a part that's there. It's like, if I denied her that level of intimacy, I know from patterns gone by, she wouldn't have been as inclined to go, well, it's funny you say that, Mark. Man, it's wrecking my head. I was awake last night because this book agent hasn't got back to me. I'm like, I have a lot of self-doubt. It's like, maybe she just thought my proposal was crap. Maybe I'm just not a good enough author. Maybe like the first 10 pages she saw. Maybe it's just like, and like we ended at the end of those 10 minutes together, really connected, really grounded. Me opening up to her about the anxiety. I had no anxiety the rest of the day. It's like, I know and love Larry Hagner. I know he's going to hold space. I know I'll just get on. We'll be like two brothers, like two friends, like, just at the campfire. But if I didn't share that, she wouldn't share the other.
Yeah.
And we would have brought that tension into our day, into the dinner table, into our parenting, into my coaching clients today. The dog would have got the brunt of this tension, and that just serves nobody.
It doesn't. This statement I think will really resonate with you, and I think with the other men out there. In the same conversation, I love the fact that you call this the king and queen walk, because in the exact same conversation that Jessica had with me back in 2017, she ended it with this. She's like, "You're my king, I'm your queen. How do you expect me to go to battle unless we truly understand what it is that you're fighting?" She's like, just
Mm-hmm.
because I'm your queen, that doesn't mean I'm this delicate flower that you always have to protect. Like, I want to go to battle with you. And I thought to myself, I was like, oh my God. And she goes, the other thing too is she's like, when you don't do that, what's really happening for me is I don't feel like you trust me enough to that you think I'm not going to understand. Right. Here's the other thing too. We're always talking about how we can lead ourselves, lead our marriages, lead our kids. Well, that this example of being our true, most authentic selves is a true example of leading in our marriages, because what needs to happen sometimes for our wives is like, oh, thank God, like you led me to this conversation, or the fact that you sang it first, I now suddenly feel permission that I can share what's going on for me.
Yeah.
So I love this king and queen walk that you guys do. I do want to switch gears just a little bit. One of the things I know we're going to talk about today is the distinction between entitlement and alignment in marriages and relationships. Can you explain that?
Yeah. Just to clarify, entitlement and enlightenment, albeit that one could
Sorry,
argue.
enlightenment.
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 you're fine. Is um, entitlement and enlightenment. Entitlement was the paradigm I was coming at a marriage with Matilda for the first 12 years. Absolutely. Um, I sort of feel culturally we've been conditioned into entitlement. And entitlement is characterized by thinking and speaking shoulds. Every guy listening in is like, oh man, you know, your woman, she should just know I'm after having a hard fucking day at work. Like, why? She should just know, fucking give me a little, give me just like half an hour when I come in. Like, don't be giving me like fucking the infant or telling me to tidy up the kitchen. Just, she should just know. She should just know I like variety in the bedroom. She should just know that I'm fucking tired. You know, this weekend, I'm after going off. I had that big conversation with, I don't know, with my dad, my brothers, whatever. She should just know. She should just know. You just put in the gap, like you fill in the blank. Guys listening in, and like most guys, I saw you broke into sort of smiling there. It's like we're full of shoulds,
Oh yeah.
and and it's like, again, it's there's a lot of cultural conditioning with this. If you look at like modern culture, I've been looking at the Marvel films there recently. It's been this beautiful thing. The girls are always trying to get me to watch like all of these really girly cartoons, and there was just part of me is like, I don't fucking want to watch that shit. It's like, you know, I want my testosterone to remain at some semi-acceptable levels. Like I can't watch those things. I did it a couple of times. I had to own there again anger. It's like, hey, I have a boundary here. Daddy has a need for films that he enjoys. So we found the Marvel movies, and I love them. But apart from just like the whole story and the heroes, and like it's just really entertaining, there's been a lot of observations I've made that it's not just in the Marvel movies, but it's like these expectations of entitlement where I think is it Hawkeye or Hawkman, where he has his family, he has his wife and two or three kids, and it's like this idea. He brings the whole Avengers back to the house, and ultimately in that scene, it's like the wife just, oh hey honey, and she welcomes them all in. But on some level, he's after bringing like these badass people that the whole fucking world, the universe of darkness is hunting them down, and she's this welcoming, loving wife, beautifully done up in makeup, with kids welcoming, hey daddy, and she's just totally, accepting of her man coming in unannounced with the whole Avengers team. That's like a caricature what has been put out in modern culture, where a woman, you know, go back a few decades, it was like a woman should just stay at home. Of course, women, since the women's movement, are getting out more and working, and like that's a beautiful thing. But the entitlement, as from a belief perspective, is still like working in the background of our nervous system. I think in modern life, a lot of guys get frustrated because it's like we're doing a lot more than what our dads did. The previous generations, we do a good bit more in parenting. We do a good bit more, like a lot of guys will prepare meals, we'll tidy up in the house. So we're doing a good bit more. But deep down, there's a lot of shoulds there. She should just fucking get my work is important, etc., etc. And that just doesn't work. First of all, it's a modern idea. Again, what your beautiful queen said to you is like, here, I'm in here for the fight. There's a different part to our women that is fiery, that is passionate. If you go back into, Shiva and Shakti, the ancient Hindu, sexual energetic dynamics, it's like women are queens. They're full of fire and they're not passive onlookers. So entitlement from male, female, husband to wife, a lot of the times it's like she should just fill in the blank. The enlightenment part, you just rip the shit out of should. You never, for me, is you don't fucking think should ever. She should, that's an insult. If in thought or in spoken word. Now, this is a really high end game and there's a lot of conditioning. So it's like, it's not a quantum leap, but conceptually, my practice of, marriage as a road to enlightenment is what happens if I just rip all the shoulds out of it? What if there's no expectations on Matilda? What if she's just allowed to show up naturally and authentically in what is true, what is right in the moment? And I honor that as like, well, that's what her nervous system, that's what her mind needs to express right now. So she's down, she's feeling low. It's like, I'm in heroic mode. I have a lot of projects on, but she's just in a depressed state. Recently, there was a depressed state. She was really sad. She was working through a lot of stuff. Okay, there's no shoulds. In the path of marriage being like an invitation to enlightenment, I'd say like an invitation to self-mastery is Can I meet her precisely where she's at, and by extension, my kids, and honor with absolute acceptance what they're showing up with? But also, I'm included in that. Can I love and accept every single emerging thought, a word that comes to me, mainly in a thinking and an emotional field? Can I love and accept that and not beat the shit out of myself, not shame myself again? We've spoken about that earlier on in this conversation. Can I accept that there's going to be there's some truth? If my mind is thinking it, it's there for a reason. Of course, if you're thinking I could fucking kill her now, or I could kill that dude, like, okay, you don't fucking act in that. But there's dark thoughts. They're telling you, hey, there's a lot of unexpressed, there's a lot of aggression there. There's something you really need to speak to. Again, you're bringing out, there's no shadow. You're just bringing to the front. Now, maybe that level of practice for men, it's good to go to the mastermind with Larry and the guys. Go to the men's, like I have my men's group the last 3.5 years. I share with the guys. You don't have to dump all of that unprocessed stuff with your woman, but you learn to love and accept it. I have found that sort of a path, just loving and accepting myself by default, means that I'm loving and accepting Matilda and the girls and their expressions. The house is infinitely safer. I feel more grounded in myself. I'm like, man, I'm good. I'm done with like shaming the shit out of myself for having thoughts. I'm done with blaming Matilda. That's it. Just never works. Ultimately, like the entitlement part, getting really black and white. I like guys. We get into. I think our greatest power. We just get fucking black and white. Blaming your woman. You know, Larry, you and by the guys by extension. You know, have you ever had your mind full of blaming thoughts of your woman, and maybe you're communicating verbally those blaming thoughts, and have her open her heart to you and trust you? Never. It's never fucking happened in the history of men and women getting together in marriage where blaming thoughts, blaming words, or shaming yourself, it just doesn't work. So I just get really black and white. The enlightenment path is like, if that way doesn't work, blaming her, shaming myself, it just never works to bring connection. We'll get really decisive and just cut it. Now, it takes a lot of practice, meditation every day, and doing my work and deep men's work and journaling and being coached directly, etc. But that's the underlying game. Can I claim absolute responsibility for my thinking, my talking, my taking action, and my emotional state underneath it? They are the 3 or 4 main creative tools that creates my marriage. When I take extreme ownership for that, funnily enough, it doesn't matter where Matilda is, my marriage goes good that day. It goes good that moment. She's feeling loved. She's feeling accepted. She's feeling safe. And, you know, a depression for a couple of hours, you know, before 4 or 5 years ago, hey man, that depression was lasting for 3 or 4 weeks. Now it's 3 or 4 hours. Sometimes, and there's no scorecard, but the tough times pass way quicker because the nervous system is allowed to have that experience. That's a little bit of a snippet of an entry point into the distinction between entitlement and enlightenment.
Wow. Yeah. We can all relate with the shoulding on ourselves. We always tell guys the moment that you start to should on yourselves, take big steaming piles of should all over yourself, that's when you need to really catch yourself, right? Because that is self-sabotage in, you know, in its sometimes most diabolical form, right?
Mm-hmm.
That will completely decimate sometimes our potential. It will eradicate, you know, the things that we're capable of. And the other thing too is it actually blocks the solution-based mindset. So if we're constantly focusing on what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, you know, shooting all over ourselves, and then that usually leads to more catastrophic, you know, problems like I should be a better father. Why can't I be a better father? That why can't I be a better father is usually crappy questions that follow up with after being shooting all over ourselves. So we need to make sure that we're rewiring, you know, that thought process, because that thought process is absolutely catastrophic. You know, before we end here, I want to make sure, you know, we only have a few minutes left of the podcast, but I want to make sure what are just some other things that we could give some men that they could like literally start maybe rethinking about today or even using today that might um just change the game for them.
Mm. I'm going to give a super brief introduction to it. Heroic humility, hummus, the grounded truth of where you're truly at. Um, the mother of all screw ups in marriage happens when we have an audio recording and a visual recording of how our wives are showing up visually, all the different signs that are showing up and like what she's saying or not saying, etc. And we react from there. It's to get really curious about where your point of closure is. Stillness, I say stillness, there's sight, shape, state, and story. These are the five pillars of self mastery that it doesn't matter in life what you go into. If you're a UFC star or heroic husband, you're leading your family or everything else in between, you need to become really aware of those. Stillness, in the simplest terms, is are you aware of your breathing? If you're breathing down, that's what guys can work. If you're breathing down into your belly, that's just making you way more present and your nervous system is way more relaxed. You'll feel you more. Second one, sight. Really literal. It's like just become aware in moments, especially moments of conflict. They're the most important points. I know you spoke about that in my podcast. Like the moments of conflict. What are your eyes doing? Um, Catch your eyes. Are you glancing at a clock? You want to get the fuck out of there. You're glancing to the door. These are signs that your woman sees and immediately goes into closure. She's like, fuck him. Like he's looking to go out the door. So be aware of your eyes, where they're looking or not looking, and bring them back a loving gaze to your woman. Your shape, just do a super quick check of your posture, your shape. Clench fists, of course, that's going to trigger fear in her. She's going to get really hard. Unclench them, unfold your arms. If your feet are pointing to the door or to your gear bag, that's your intention. You want to get the gear bag and get the fuck out of there. Bring it back open hearted with her. Your state, name it to tame it. Just really simple, but it takes practice. But if you can name the emotion during the moment of conflict, oh, there's anger there. Oh, that was quite aggressive, or oh, there's a deep shame there. If you can name it, again, intimacy, it makes it safe for her. The final one is story. Get aware of those thoughts in your mind. We've been speaking about that for the whole conversation. Blame, shame, or claim. Blaming thoughts, own them. Shaming thoughts, own them, and then just try and divert them into claiming thoughts. The most important thing here, the most important thing, and this will change everything for guys listening in, is when you practice awareness of them. There again, the core golden thread in this conversation with you, Larry, today has been like deep intimacy. When you notice you're going into a bit of closure, speak to them immediately to your woman. It's like, hey, honey, I just noticed I've been looking at the gear bag. Like, I just want to I'm avoiding this. That's my intention. I want to get away from here. Sorry for that. I'm fully with you. I want to understand what it is that's live for you. You notice yourself folding your arms. Same thing. Hey, honey, I've just noticed I'm folding my arms. I get defensive. I know that's a pattern with me. Excuse me. Sorry for that. And you've corrected your posture. I want to tell me more. I'm now fully present with you. Whenever you cop any of those points, speak it to her immediately and then get curious with what she wants to share. She does not want perfection. No woman wants perfection, but what they do have unapologetic high expectations. They want improving presence from us and progress. It's not a game about perfection, but they do want more presence, not perfection, remember? You can have whatever emotional state, your posture can do whatever it wants, your eyes can, but if you're present enough to catch it, course correct, that's the progress. Larry, I work with every single one of my guys one-on-one with this. Just becoming aware of those 5 key things, that makes it safe. She's feeling safe. She'll feel seen and heard, those 3 foundational needs. And then when you do that, you own it, you get curious about her. What's the final part of the jigsaw communication wise? Speak your truth unapologetically. You nail that awareness and you own it with her and you have her feel seen and heard. She's a powerful woman. She will receive any of your authentic truth like with open arms. that's the most concise wrapping up, but it's I just wanted to give guys are like a really valuable that 5 point system is a game changer, has been for me and guys I've used it with.
Well, it brings you to so much, it brings you to a level of self-awareness that we usually never quite frankly get to. So having those parameters, which I think are really, really powerful for any guy who's listening to this podcast, there's your measuring stick, right? That's how we can check in with ourselves to see where we're at. I want to make sure all the guys can find where they can find you. So what's the best place for men to connect with you?
I keep it very easy for every guy listening in. There's just my website and my podcast. I'm not on social media. It just helps me get present and deep dive into the work, my creative work. My podcast is Be the Husband She Brags About podcast. You'll find it on all the major platforms. And my website, where you can download a free ebook, which is like the 15 habits to be the husband she brags about. You'll find that at kingsoffreedom.me.
Kingsoffreedom.me. That's a pretty cool website, my man. Very good, my friend. Well, gentlemen, you won't have to look too terribly far for all this information. Head on over to the dadedge.com/Friday 104. Again, the dadedge.com/Friday 104. Mark, thank you so much for coming on today, man. This was amazing.
Thank you so much for having me on, Larry. It's been a beautiful experience, man.
You bet, my friend. Gentlemen, go out and live legendary. Take care.